And I have been doing this for a couple weeks now, just, trying to really not just spread some good information on the internet, but also to try to highlight some people that either that I know or that have come to me and talked to me about their self and their business, and how I really want to share with you guys how people are just taking their energy, taking their excitement, and evolving that into something that is, earning a living and pivoting with changes in the economy, their particular industry, things that just get in the way. And I love sharing these stories because you will see there's a lot of common themes in through these different things we're talking about, but there also is very unique stories and information. And I love just being able to help people tell their story. And so this is a way I've been able to do that through this kind of craziness that we're all dealing with. But today, this first interview I have today is with a lady that I just met not very long ago, and just have an absolute passion and respect for the things that she puts together and the way that she's able to pivot herself and move things around to try to be able to get herself out there in the market and do the thing that she absolutely is spectacular about. So today I want to introduce to you Denice Delozier. And Denice, thanks so much for taking your time today. I really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. So tell us about you, Denice. Tell everybody who doesn't know you, a little bit of backstory. Where'd you come from? What do you, how'd you get to here today? And why are you doing what you're doing? And what is it that you're doing?
Awesome. Okay. So my name is Denice. I'm a wife, a mom, and I work full time. But in the fall of 2018, I started a shirt business. So my husband signed my daughter up for a cheer team. I wasn't excited about it. And then, you just kind of roll into those kind of things. And then I wanted custom gear.
Wait a minute. You weren't excited about the cheer team? Because everything I see about you is you love the cheering.
I was not excited at all. And then we got our first bill and it was like $1,500 for the whole, competitive sports isn't cheap. And I didn't grow up doing competitive sports. Right. So I wasn't prepared for that. And so I'm like, $1,500? Like, how are we going to do this? And then so over the time, the first year, I was getting custom shirts made from local shirt people. And then I did the math at the end of the season and was like, I spent over $500 with these different vendors. And then it was me. And then, I'm a big word of mouth person. So I would get a shirt and then my friend would get a shirt and then another cheer mom would get a shirt. So I was referring all this business, but most of the times I would send her the design. She would send it back and I'm like, no, tweak it here, tweak it there. And then so after doing that, I just said, you know what, maybe you should start, doing shirts. So I got a bonus at work. And I turned that bonus around and invested in the basic supplies I needed to start a shirt business. And it literally turned into me posting my first ever custom design. Someone came to me for a cheer team. And then the rest is history. Literally, wow. I have a brand in mind. I have other things in motion, but I am so busy doing custom orders from fall of 2018 to now. I got a cheer order yesterday.
Wow, so, yeah. That's fantastic. So tell me how you feel about this. So obviously you, this is just so cool. I mean, here's another example, guys. This is what we've been talking about, is how a lot of these interviews have so many common themes, but this is a perfect example of it. So here's a lady who has a full-time job and was shown an opportunity and, to supplement something that her family's doing and that she needed to supplement, right? And took that opportunity and turned it into a business. I mean, a very functioning, almost overwhelming business, because gosh knows you have plenty on your plate,
yes,
I'm sure.
Yes. And so, last year was the first full year in business, and I did the numbers the other day. And while being a wife, a mom, and working full time, I sold over $20,000 worth of shirt merchandise.
Right. Wow. Right. That is incredible.
I was shocked too. Cause I'm like, I thought maybe 10,000 when I was running the numbers, but then when I was like, oh, wow. And so that means I profited anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 a month last year just in doing shirts and helping pay for cheer and just other
Yeah.
expenses. So yeah.
What I love about that is that, you took something and that you needed to support your family, basically, right? To, not really support to eat and have a roof over their head, but support activities that they wanted to do. So you knew that this had to happen. And so what do you think? Like, you talked about the fact that you like to talk about things that you feel really strongly about. So tell me a little bit more about that, because that is something that there's a common theme here too, but we haven't really talked about this in many different people that I've talked to in their businesses. But this is a really very powerful point. So talk about that a little bit for us.
So, so when it all started, 1,500 was doable, but then the year after that, cheer had went up from 1,500 to 26. So I was like, all right, definitely need to kick it up. And that's where the shirt business came in, because I knew that I didn't want to pull from my main income for that. Like, I wanted my main income to cover my main income, but I wanted, 2,600 is just the bare minimum. It does not cover when we travel, or if I want to wear extra blingy mom stuff. It didn't cover that. That was just the base sign up to be a cheerleader thing. And so I knew that I would have to work my shirt business so that I could pay for the other things that I wanted to do for cheer. And so that meant it literally all kind of started with me making a cheer jacket with our cheer team on the back. And that was my top seller. And that really did numbers for me, because other cheer teams came along and then it was like $500 profit. That went straight to my daughter's cheer bill. Then it was turning around and just things like that. Okay, another 500. Okay, that's going to cover when we go to Florida this year, because we went to Daytona. This year we're supposed to go to Orlando. But we were traveling sometimes when the season really got going, 2 to 3 times a month, weekends back to back, and flying out of the state. So I knew that I didn't want to pull from my main income. So I knew I had to make it shake, do something else. And that was just sacrificing a few hours after work from home a couple days a week. And I mean, I don't work every single day in my shirt business. I might work 2 to 3 days a week, and just sacrificing that little bit is what helped profit 1,000 to 1,500, and just really be that extra parachute, if you will, for, if anything happened, or my cable bill, because sometimes that's what happened. My cable bill will be like $500. I don't even know why or how, but my shirt business would come in and swoop and help out with that.
This is just amazing. So it really wasn't even like, oh, I want to do a shirt business and start trying to make these things. You saw where somebody else was doing it. You were doing all the work and basically said, I can do that myself and I can make this work. So tell us the name of your shirt business, because you sort of alluded to that a little earlier. And what I think is so funny about this, especially since you said, I'm not really into cheer, I'm not really into all that. I know you as the name of that business, and that every, when you get dressed up and you go out and do things, that's who you are. So that's why I thought it was kind of funny that cheer wasn't in your radar at all.
So my business name is the Bling Queen. Like, even as a little girl, I've always loved blingy things and sparkle and glitter, and then I just like being a queen. And so the business name literally like came out of nowhere one day. I just kind of woke up and was like, the Bling Queen. That's what I'm going to call myself. And then like my husband's friends, and then people, and now I'm even trying to figure out like, what is that going to look like for me? Like, should I make things that say the Bling Queen on it? I haven't gotten there yet, but yeah. So literally it's just like my nickname now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So now do you go around and talk about doing that? Is it only basically in the cheer community, and then maybe some other things, or what other kind of events or things that are you doing that shares that message, so that you can get, obviously as your daughter, your daughter's young, so this isn't going to happen right away, but obviously as she gets a little bit older and you transition through other stuff, maybe that won't be the only source for this. So where do you see this going for you? And do you, are you looking at those kinds of things this early on?
Yes, I am. So sometimes it's not just cheer. Like, cheer is my bread and butter. But like recently, like I had this lady, a lot of people actually, they come to me with their logo. Like, for example, yours at the top of this, it says Connie Fuksa. So I would have people bring their logo and I would put it on a shirt, or I would put it on a jacket, or I would put it on a bag. And so it's not only just to the cheer community. Like some people call me for birthdays. Like I've put, like Paw Patrol or characters on shirts. So, and that's the one thing I'm trying to branch out of. I don't want people to think that I only do cheer things because, you come to me with a custom idea, I can make it happen. It doesn't just have to be cheer. Yeah. But my goal is, like, I recently taught a class on how to use the tools I use and how to turn it into a business. So my end all goal is honestly, to teach other women how to do this same thing. When I started, I went to a class and she pretty much taught on the beginning to a launch. And so it was pretty much the ins and out of what it looks like to have a shirt business. And then at that class, it was confirmation for me, like, this is what I want to do. And so while making shirts and creating a brand, I also want to help other women create this avenue as well, if this is something they want to do. And because I do have a few friends.
Well, I just love it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just love it because that's the thing too. I mean, is it sometimes some of the people we've talked to is it born out of the necessity and is it a sustainable thing? And obviously it's just moving through what areas you're tapping into. So to begin with, it started because of the necessity, but you figured out how to weave it into some other things. And certainly it's definitely something that everybody's into right now. But I like the spirit of that in the respect that you figured out not only, you took the class, which you thought, oh, let me just do this because that was the necessity. Mm-hmm. And then once you did that, you said, oh, I really like this. Let's see what we can do with it. And now it's sort of grown itself over a year into, wow, I'm doing all of these different things. So you're doing birthday parties, you're doing classes for the ladies, which is amazing. That is truly going to help your business be sustainable. But this is the pivot pieces that we talk about as things change, because again, this is something you can do. If we're on lockdown for 2 weeks or 2 months, you can get orders and do things for people and ship them to them very easily. To be able to, continue your business and to do that kind of marketing. So that's really great, because I think that's something that we're all talking about as this, whatever we're going to deal with goes on, how that looks. But I love this spirit. So when you are working with stuff, well, let me ask you this first. So back to the mechanics of what you're doing. Obviously, you don't just do shirts and jackets. You probably do all kinds of other things too. Do you make the decals like people can put on other things? Maybe their car, maybe their Yeti cups, the bag or whatever, or is it just solely clothing?
That's a great question. So over Christmas, I had a customer reach out, a Mary Kay girlfriend, and she was doing like 50 mugs as a gift, and she wanted me to do the cutouts. And so, yes, I do other things, but I like to focus on shirts or anything with heat transfer vinyl, because that to me is the easiest to work with. It's my favorite. If someone comes to me and says, hey, I want a decal, I will work with them, but I don't advertise it as much because it's not my favorite. The vinyl is harder to work with, and you've got to have patience. Okay. And so most times when you branch out and start a business with kind of crafty things, they tell you to pick your niche. And mine was shirts and having a heat press. And, like recently for my daughter's birthday, I gave everyone a cup, and I was kind of scared to do the cups with the names on it because, like I said, I don't like to work with the sticker vinyl. It was a little uncomfortable, but I made it work. And I was like, oh, okay, I could see me using this in the future. And I kind of did that to kind of see if I wanted to play with it, if I wanted to offer it in the future. But yes, most times I just tell people to bring your idea to me or ask me, or don't be afraid, because most times it can be figured out. And if I can't, then I can send you to someone or somewhere to get it.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I mean, most entrepreneurs, no matter what business they're in, aren't the jack of all trades. And knowing that and respecting that is very, very important. So at an early age in your in this career path is incredible that you're already at that stage, which is very just very intuitive. A lot of respect for that, because, we all know we're, whatever you do for a living. I mean, like, for example, I work with people and help them tell their story, good coaching, in, understanding all of the good information they have up in their brain, to help build their expertise or their expertness to the public. And so, I'm not the one who's going to give you the life coach help. I'm not going to save you from the scary bubble that you don't want to get out of. It's just not my niche. Like I can, but like you said, so I love that you're at an early stage in this path, that you've already grabbed onto that. Yeah, you can do it, and that you're, this speaks to the partnering shipping with other entrepreneurs. Like I've said before, so many people are afraid to do that. And the amazing thing is you figured this out early. So I don't necessarily like this. But I can do it, but I'd much rather send you to someone else that has much better expertise at it. And that person's going to, in turn, work with me on people that, maybe are doing, fabric transfers and those kinds of things. A heat transfer, I think you said.
Right.
So when you're talking about a heat transfer, are we also talking about like you can do bags, or like, girls' weekend getaway bag, or, cheer bags for that matter, those kinds of things. Those are fabrics, so they would be heat transfers as well.
Yes. So I can do, I normally buy like these canvas makeup bags. I can do those a lot of times because of the stigma of bling queen. I do sequined bags, and I can put your name on it. I've done backpacks for like my best friend's daughter. She bought a Nike backpack and wanted me to add her daughter's name. And then I do bachelorette things as well all the time, like shirts, bags, matching, all that. Pretty much like anything you can think of that can be worn or that is a fabric, I can press on it. And like fanny packs are a big thing right now. I do those all the time. Like I have one customer who literally orders like 3 fanny packs every 3 months. Like I don't even know what she needs this many for, or I know she gifts them, but fanny packs are a big hit right now too.
God, who'd ever thought fanny packs would come back in? They used to be a thing, and then they were a horrible thing, and now they're back in. That's crazy.
Now they're a cute thing, right?
Right, now everybody's all into it again. It's really funny how things go full circle. So in the spirit of the entrepreneurial side that we've talked about a little bit, so I wanted to ask you a couple of things. Number one, so what, we've learned obviously that the thing that you're really passionate about is doing this heat transfer. But when you think about your business as a whole, what about your business just really, it just really juices you up, really gets you excited? I've said superpower with people, and that gets double answers. I mean, to superpower to some people means what you're really good at. And I would like to know that, what you think you're really good at. But then I also really would like to know what juices you up, because I think what people miss in this whole entrepreneurial arena sometimes is that, to keep getting knocked and to keep getting up takes a lot of spirit. And so that spirit comes from somewhere inside of you, that that the one thing that really juices you, or really makes the hair stand up on your arms, or just really makes you feel good, that's the thing that keeps making you get up and keep doing it and going through whatever it is. So I'm curious to know what makes the hair rise up on your arms, and what makes you feel just super energized when somebody asks you to do that, or you're working on a certain thing.
So, a lot of times people will just come to me and they say, I want your touch or your bling or your design. And so I've always had like a creative background. When I was growing up, I was always making something, and I've always wanted to be a designer. So, like I make flyers and things like that. But what brings me the most joy out of this whole process is when I deliver an order, or I drop it off, or they text me and they open their order and they're like, I love it. It's exactly what I wanted. Pretty much creating that vision for my customers and what they wanted. Because sometimes as a customer, and you're not, my customers come to me because they A, don't make shirts, and B, because they just love how I do it. But most times they're like, I had an idea of how I wanted it, and I just knew you could execute it. And, sometimes when we're all customers in life, just like I might need financial help, or I might need coaching from you, but you might have the expertise and the spin on it that I wouldn't. And so I just love that I can express and use my creative juices to help people with their visions and what they want. Because sometimes people will say, this is what I found, but it's not what I want. And as a Virgo, my personality loves to take something basic and just bling it out or just turn it up or just pretty much put my spin on it. And so that's what I love about it, is when my customers are like, I just really want your spin, or I just love how you brought my vision to life. And so
That's
that's my
fun. See, I could just see you glowing as you were talking about it. That's so cool. Because, just like any industry, there's 1,000 people that do the exact same thing. But what really sets all of us apart is what's that drive? What's that piece that's inside of you? And that was just really cool to watch you talk about it, because it really just came right out. It was really fun. Because clearly that, if that's your energy, then that's what makes you successful, no matter what those hurdles actually are.
Right.
So let's talk about the other side. What's the thing that you can do no matter what gets in your way, that is the other side of this superpower, which I haven't really explored a lot with a lot of people. Some people told me, some people didn't. But, I think that's important to say, because all of us have something that is, you were just talking a little bit about your zodiac sign. So talk about that a little bit more, because obviously that to be whatever that power is. It's the unstoppable side of you.
I don't think I understand the question.
That's okay. So, some people say, "Oh, I'm super flexible, so I'm like Gumby, or I'm like Elastic Man, or whatever." Or some people say, I have a great ability to be patient and listen to everything that you have to say, which is not always my best. But or some people say, I just have a great ability to talk through any situation. So I'm just curious, because entrepreneurs, one of the groups of people that we're speaking to through this project is people that are on the fence. They're sitting at home. They're 2 weeks of not leaving their house, and they're thinking, gosh, I should do such and such. I always thought this was a great widget to build, or I always thought, this was a great project to do. So they're getting a lot of information from us too, and understanding that everybody's strong suit, if you will, is not the same as everybody else's, and recognizing what yours is, whatever it is great benefit to you to be successful, because that's what you work on. That's what you rely on to get you through this tough stuff.
Got it. So when I started, I wasn't confident. So I actually, I was at a place in my life where I was praying and begging God for change. And then it was like, the bonus came, and for years I had wanted to buy a Silhouette or a Cricut for years, but I just didn't know what the better one was. So for years I just chucked it up on a shelf, and it was just like gnawing at me for a long time. And then finally, when the opportunity came, and after, like I said, I kept sending those designs to that local person, and then she wasn't executing my vision. At that point, I knew, what? If you can sit here and send her how to do what you want, you can make the shirt. And so sometimes we're so afraid of figuring out how to get to that next step that we just keep putting it off. But for me, what I needed to do was 3 things. Like, I sat down and had that shirt class with the one lady this lady had her first 3 years of business, sold over 500,000. So being in her space and hearing how she did it was the first step. And then for me, the second step was I sat down with someone who had taught how to use the software and the computer and the cutter that I needed to have a successful shirt business. So I took those steps needed, because for me as a Virgo, I want to know how to do everything right now. And so for me, I was like, okay, so you could at least go to 3 people and learn the basic things you need to get started. And so I did that. And then once I felt confident, I was like, okay. I learned from the shirt lady pretty much everything she talked about. I had pretty much it wasn't that I already knew it, but I learned some new things. But like I said, it was confirmation. So then boom, had that. And then I sat down, because for me, a big hang up was, well, okay, I've got the computer and I've got the machinery, but now what? So then I sat down and took a class. The lady would not let me pay her. So I bought her a gift card to a craft store. And I said, look, I want to compensate you for your time. And so she sat there with me and pretty much from start to finish showed me everything I needed in the software. So then at that point, I was confident that I could use my creative juices to pretty much get the vision in my head to the shirt. And so at that point, sometimes we're just so afraid. We're always worrying about what it would look like, or, the devil is dropping self-doubt in our head. And so for me, I was like, if I can do these few things that I know will help me execute, then I know that I'm good. And there are days, we all have our days where the devil kind of attacks us and makes us, are you sure this is what you should be doing, kind of thing.
Mhm.
But then, like I told you, when I deliver to that customer and they're like, thank you so much, it's all confirmation for me that this is what I'm, and at that point in my life, when this all started, I was like, God, what can I do? How can you use me to get your message across? Because sometimes, imagine all the people I helped in the last year. If I never would have started, what would my life look like if I wasn't doing shirts? How would I be creatively living and passing on my come around and say to me, wow, like, I can't believe you did this. And if I never did that, I wouldn't have these friendships, and I wouldn't have, I've learned many things. When you have a business, you just like anyone, there's trials and errors and hiccups, and there's many things I've messed up and learned, but it's all a learning. And so it's just been a great journey. I'm excited. And, my Virgo struggles with trying to get there so fast, but then sometimes I'm like, just enjoy the journey. And so for me, it was mainly just, I want to help women or anyone, honestly, women and men, know that, you might not need it all right then in that moment, but your dream can come alive and you can help people. And you can also make an earning on it as well with your gifts and talents.
That is so powerful. And I just absolutely love it, because you just gave us, I was sitting here writing notes, I have to remind everybody that when I look down, it's because I'm not paying attention. It's because I'm trying to capture this stuff because I'm talking to so many different people. I just love these nuggets. But, you said a couple of things about putting your dreams up on the shelf, or putting your ideas up on the shelf because you were confident. And so I think so many people do that. They say, oh, this would be a really good idea. But I'm going to just set it over here until I'm ready, or until it's time, or until it comes about. That was super powerful. And then, the confidence thing. I mean, I've known you for a year, and I can't imagine you saying you're not confident. So it's interesting what we see in ourselves that other people absolutely do not see. And I think that's a powerful message as well. And then the other one that I love, which is, I think, what you rolled into all of it and wound up with is taking the steps, not having to have it all at one time, having the perfect setup. I mean, some of the people we've talked to have said, oh, this hit me right in the face. I stepped right in, it started working. And so that's the obvious steps, but you saw something that you knew that you needed for your family and things, the progression. But also, as you started doing it, you said, gosh, I really like this more than I even realized. And so let me take another step and another step, instead of saying, all right, if I'm all in and it doesn't work, I'm done. Or if I can't go all in, then I'm done. And I just love that, because there's so many people that are at that point right now. So it's pivotal to hear you talk about that. And thank you for sharing. That's kind of raw and sometimes personal. So I appreciate you taking the time to share that. So in an effort to keep us on time, I want to wrap up, but I want to wrap up by asking what I ask everybody at the end, because I think this is really important for a couple of reasons. If you had just a quick couple of words to be able to tell somebody what you did, I like to say, if you get stuck in an elevator and it was shut off, and you're stuck in there with 3 people beside you, and you had 10 words to say what you do, and they go around the room and say, what do you do for a living? Tell us what your 10 words are, or less.
That's a tough one. I would honestly just say, don't be afraid. And I bless people with blinged out designs. And
I like it. I like it because it spurs on more conversation. So I like it. I like it a lot. That's wonderful. So Denice, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you if they need some blinged out designs and they want to talk to you a little bit more.
Awesome. So my website is pending. So it's amazing how I can sell over 20,000, but not even have a website, right? I know. But my Virgo won't let me.
It's all good. It's all good.
Crazy. So you can find me on Facebook. My name is Denice Delo, Denice with a C. And then I have a page on Facebook called The Bling Queen. You can find me there. Or on Instagram, you can see a lot of my designs there. My name is @the_Bling Queen. And you can find me there for all my designs.
Okay.
Hit me up.
Excellent. And do me a favor when we get done is type it in the graphic that we did today so everybody can see it there as well in the comments, and then everybody can see it. And then the other thing, guys, just like I have been doing, we will save this video and then we will repost it and tag Denice tomorrow so she can share it on her page so everybody can see all of the good things, the good nuggets that she shared with us today. As I said before, you know, we're continuing to do interviews. So if you know somebody that has a great story to share, even if maybe it's not a great story, maybe it's just they're a really hardworking person and we want to get their information out there. It's not necessarily about somebody who owns a business or runs a business. It could be somebody who's thinking about starting a business, and maybe we're giving some energy to that too. So that's what this series is all about. I want to continue to do these, hopefully through the end of April. So you guys just keep sending me the people that you know. And if you want to check out some information on me, and we want to talk a little bit more about how to be able to tell your story and how to get your expertise out there, ConnieFuksa.com. You can see it up in the top corner. And Denice, I can't thank you enough for taking your time today. I know it's busy with little ones at home, and I truly appreciate you very much. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
All right, guys, check out the Bling Queen, and I'll talk to you again soon. We have another interview starting at 1 o'clock. And so that is actually a redo interview that I'm really anxious to do that got really messed up at the beginning of the week. So I hope you guys tune in. And Denice, I'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for everything.
No problem. Thank you.